The common room of the Nashville Widows and Children's Home buzzed with life. Moving here represented a new start for them and was a great deal safer than where they'd been several blocks east, and not a rat in sight. Mice she could handle, but rats! She shuddered, remembering what it had been like, awakening at night in the boarding house to hear the rodents scurrying about in the dark, or worse, when she felt one scuttle across the foot of her bed. The succulent aroma of freshly baked cinnamon bread drifted from the kitchen and helped to banish the bad memories, even as the homey scent encouraged her hunger, as did the promise of coffee. But the queue for breakfast was already 20 deep, and the clock on the wall insisted she keep moving. Outside, the skies boasted a crystalline blue color, and the sun already felt warm on her face. Summer had staked its claim. Monday mornings always seemed busier somehow, both in foot traffic and on the streets. Scores of farm wagons and carriages vied for passage, with freight wagons only slowing their progress, the drivers pausing as cargo was loaded and unloaded. At every corner, she was delayed, and the minutes rushed past. She spotted the mercantile ahead and, once closer, saw Mr. Mulholland, the proprietor, standing just inside the doorway. Aware to the penny of how much she owed on her account, she thought of the bill she'd received last week, reminding her of the outstanding balance, and a stab of guilt pierced her when she averted her gaze as she passed. The man had been so kind to extend her credit, and though she had no idea how she would manage it, she intended to repay every penny. Someday. Out of breath, she raced down an alleyway, her mind turning again to Andrew's visit with the doctor. Determined not to borrow trouble until trouble left her no choice, she hurried inside the back entrance of Miss Hattie's dress and drapery shop, then down the hallway, hoping to get to her sewing station before anyone realized she ran headlong into a red-faced Miss Hildegard. Savannah reached out to steady the older woman, then quickly realized it wasn't Miss Hildegard who was about to go sprawling. Hand against the wall, Savannah managed to steady herself, only too aware of the veins bulging in her employer's neck. "Pardon me, Miss Hildegard, I didn't—" "Finally, Miss Darby, you see fit to grace us with your presence?" Savannah's face went hot. "My apologies for being tardy, Miss Hildegard." She knew better than to try to offer an excuse. Nothing short of sudden death would satisfy this woman, and even then, Miss Bertha Hildegard would demand for notice. The woman huffed. "We are all in a state, Miss Darby. Betsy Anderson has taken ill and only now sent word, the slothful girl, so you must take her appointment this morning." Not yet trusting she'd escaped with so minor a scolding, Savannah nodded quickly. "Of course, ma'am. I leave straight away, right after I finish hemming the draperies for Miss Garrison's—" "Miss Garrison can wait. This appointment is for redecorating an entire house, Miss Darby. Draperies, bed covers, duvets, pillows, window shades, everything. The patron also mentioned furniture, for which we'll work with Franklin's." An odd look crossed the older woman's face. "The newly arrived owner, a Mr. Aidan Bedford, and his fiancée, Miss Sinclair, are expecting you. Or rather, are expecting Miss Anderson, but you'll have to do." Accustomed to the woman's disparaging comments, Savannah found them easier to endure when remembering that the former owner, Miss Hattie, had held her work in the highest regard. Miss Hattie's was the finest dress and drapery shop in town, and Savannah needed this job. Miss Hildegard started down the hallway and gestured for her to follow. The soon-to-be Mrs. Bedford visited the shop day before last and perused fabric samples, our most expensive samples. If it were possible for a woman to salivate over the sale of fabric, Miss Hildegard was doing just that. The couple has moved from Boston, and Miss Sinclair, such a cultured, lovely young woman, made it quite clear they are eager to make this house their home. Savannah was already making